Why critics fear Emil Bove's confirmation will start a MAGA judicial shift. The confirmation of Emil Bove as a federal appeals court judge has ignited significant concern among critics, who fear it may signal the beginning of a judicial shift aligned with the Make America Great Again MAGA movement. Recently, the United States Senate, under Republican control, narrowly approved Bove's nomination with a vote of 50 to 49, showcasing a lack of opposition from within the party, as only 2 Republicans voted against him. This has led many to speculate that there is minimal political will to challenge President Donald Trump's judicial appointments. Critics argue that Bove's nomination is indicative of a broader trend towards appointing judges who prioritize loyalty to Trump over impartiality. Greg Nunziata, the executive director of the Society for the Rule of Law, expressed his concerns in a letter to the Senate Judiciary Committee, stating that Bove represents a shift towards appointing judges who are more focused on results than on the law itself. He warned that Trump views Bove as a MAGA warrior who will further his agenda. So what makes Bove such a contentious figure? Unlike many of Trump's previous nominations, Bove's selection is particularly notable due to the long-term implications of his appointment. At just 44 years old, he is set to influence federal appeals cases for decades, covering key states like Maryland, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Before his nomination, Bove served as Trump's personal attorney, where he defended the president against criminal charges in New York. On the first day of Trump's second term, he appointed Bove as acting deputy attorney general, a role that has drawn scrutiny due to allegations of unethical behavior. During his brief tenure, Bove faced multiple whistleblower complaints, including accusations that he attempted to halt the federal prosecution of New York City Mayor Eric Adams in exchange for stricter immigration enforcement. Furthermore, reports suggest that Bove advised Justice Department officials to disregard court orders that conflicted with Trump's policies, allegedly telling them to respond dismissively to judicial challenges against deportation efforts. His leadership at the Justice Department also reportedly involved purging officials who were seen as political adversaries, particularly those involved in prosecuting the January 6 Capitol rioters. Despite these allegations, Bove denied any wrongdoing during his Senate confirmation hearing. However, Senator Lisa Murkowski, one of the few Republicans to oppose his confirmation, highlighted evidence suggesting that Bove encouraged attorneys to ignore the law, stating, "I don't think that individual should be placed in a lifetime seat on the bench." In a more direct critique, Democrat Sheldon Whitehouse labeled Bove as a genuinely bad guy in an interview following the confirmation. Looking back at Trump's first term, he appointed 226 federal judges, including 54 appellate judges and 3 Supreme Court justices, significantly reshaping the judiciary. These appointments were often drawn from a conservative candidate pool endorsed by groups like the Federalist Society, which has been instrumental in advancing a right-leaning legal agenda, including the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade. However, Trump has recently distanced himself from the Federalist Society, criticizing its former leader, Leonard Leo, and claiming that he received poor advice from the organization. This raises questions about whether Bove's loyalty to Trump will overshadow his commitment to legal principles. Legal experts from both conservative and liberal backgrounds have expressed skepticism about Bove's qualifications, with Nunziata noting that Trump's previous appointees generally demonstrated a strong commitment to the rule of law, contrasting sharply with Bove's controversial record. The Progressive Alliance for Justice echoed these concerns, asserting that Bove's allegiance lies with Trump's authoritarian ambitions rather than with civil rights or constitutional limits on executive power. They argue that his history makes him unfit for a lifetime judicial position. As we look ahead, Trump's confrontational stance towards the judiciary has been unprecedented, with judges from both parties facing his ire. While it remains uncertain whether Bove's confirmation will lead to more contentious judicial appointments, analysts have noted that Trump has typically favored candidates from traditional conservative backgrounds. The recent actions of the Trump administration suggest a continued aggressive approach towards the judiciary, including a recent complaint against a judge who blocked deportation flights ordered by Trump. Moreover, Trump has targeted the Senate's blue slip tradition, which allows the minority party to veto certain judicial nominations. He has called for its elimination, arguing that it hinders the appointment of qualified Republican candidates. While this tradition does not apply to higher court judges, its removal could significantly enhance Trump's influence over the federal judiciary. Republican leaders, however, have shown hesitance to abandon this long-standing practice. In conclusion, the confirmation of Emil Bove raises critical questions about the future of the judiciary under Trump's influence. Will this mark the beginning of a new era of ideologically driven appointments, or will traditional conservative values prevail? What are your thoughts on Bove's confirmation and its implications for the judicial system? Share your opinions in the comments below. Schiff calls Bove's confirmation corruption amid mortgage fraud allegations. Here's a twist that could make your head spin. A prominent Democrat is accusing a newly confirmed federal judge of undermining the rule of law while facing his own potential legal troubles over mortgage allegations. But here's where it gets controversial. How can one person's actions reflect so starkly on the integrity of the judiciary? Let's unpack this tangled web of politics, power, and personal accountability. And this is the part most people miss. The irony of the situation might just redefine how we view judicial ethics in the U.S. today. Senator Adam Schiff, D. California, didn't hold back in his outrage over the Senate's 50-49 confirmation of Emil Bove, a former Trump defense attorney, to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. In a fiery ex-post, Schiff accused Republicans of enabling a judge who allegedly violated court orders tied to Trump's deportation policies and misled Congress during his confirmation hearing. Despite whistleblowers confirming he urged them to ignore court orders, despite it being clear he lied to the Judiciary Committee, the corruption of the bench continues, Schiff wrote. No Democrats voted for Bove, who now joins the federal bench despite the contentious allegations. But wait, there's more. While Schiff rails against Bove, he's under a separate DOJ referral for his own alleged mortgage fraud. The director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA, revealed in a May letter to top DOJ officials that Schiff may have falsified documents to secure better loan terms for properties in Maryland and California between 2003 and 2019. The DOJ has yet to comment on the matter, and Schiff's office has not responded to requests for clarification. This raises a provocative question. Can we truly hold judges to the highest ethical standards when those in power face similar accusations? Schiff, who once led Trump's first impeachment, dismissed the mortgage allegations as baseless political retribution from a president he's long clashed with. Yet, Trump has consistently targeted Schiff, calling him a scam artist and vowing to see him brought to justice. Is this a case of hypocrisy, or is it politics as usual? Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, RE Iowa, defended Bove, calling the criticism unfair accusations and abuse. While Republicans like Lisa Murkowski, Alaska, and Susan Collins, Maine, crossed party lines to support the confirmation. Meanwhile, the FHFA's allegations against Schiff remain unresolved, leaving the public to wonder, will the DOJ act, or will this become another footnote in the partisan drama? So here's your chance to weigh in. Should a senator's personal conduct disqualify them from criticizing judicial nominees? Or does the political nature of confirmations make such conflicts inevitable? Share your thoughts in the comments. This debate isn't going away anytime soon. Senate confirms Emil Bove to Third Circuit Court of Appeals. In a significant move that has stirred considerable debate, the Republican-controlled Senate has officially confirmed Emil Bove, a former attorney for President Donald Trump, to serve as a judge on the Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. This appointment, which grants Bove a lifetime position, was approved by a narrow margin of 50 to 49, relying solely on Republican votes. Notably, the Senate chose to overlook serious allegations from 3 whistleblowers regarding Bove's conduct while serving as a Justice Department official, which included claims that he disregarded legal protocols and departmental regulations. Only 2 Republican senators, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska and Susan Collins from Maine, broke ranks to vote against Bove's nomination, aligning with the Democrats. As the Senate prepared for the vote, Chuck Grassley, the Republican chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, dismissed the concerns raised by the 3rd whistleblower, labeling them as another breathless accusation and asserting that Bove had denied these allegations under oath. Grassley expressed his support for Bove, highlighting his strong legal credentials and honorable service to the country. He confidently stated, "I believe he will be diligent, capable, and competent, and a fair jurist." However, Grassley did not hold back in criticizing the Democrats, accusing them of employing vicious rhetoric, unfair accusations, and abuse directed at Mr. Bove, claiming their efforts to block the nomination had crossed the line. On the other side of the aisle, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer vehemently opposed Bove's confirmation, describing him as far from the mainstream as any judicial nominee we have considered in this chamber. Schumer characterized Bove as a Trumpian henchman and expressed deep concerns about his hostility towards the rule of law and democratic principles. He stated, "Above all, Mr. Bove is religiously obedient to Donald Trump." And after the vote, he admonished Republicans, declaring, "Shame on you. This is a dark, dark day." The allegations against Bove are serious. One whistleblower, Erez Reuveni, informed Congress through his legal representatives that Bove had suggested to his subordinates that they might need to disregard court orders that were obstructing Trump's deportation initiatives. This conversation reportedly took place just before the administration executed deportations under the Alien Enemies Act. Reuveni's claims were echoed by a second whistleblower, who recounted a meeting on March 14th where Bove allegedly warned that deportations could be hindered by court orders, even suggesting that the Justice Department might need to tell the courts to "f*** you" and ignore any such orders. Murkowski found these allegations particularly troubling. She stated, "I don't think that somebody who has counseled other attorneys that you should ignore the law, you should reject the law. I don't think that that individual should be placed in a lifetime seat on the bench." A third whistleblower recently approached senators with additional allegations against Bove, claiming he misled them during his confirmation hearing regarding his management of the Justice Department's dismissal of a case involving New York Mayor Eric Adams. While the specifics of how Bove allegedly misled the senators remain undisclosed. This connection to Adams's case was first reported by the Washington Post. Despite these serious allegations, Grassley indicated that they would not delay Bove's confirmation vote. Skepticism about Bove's suitability for the position transcends party lines. The conservative editorial board of the Wall Street Journal has cautioned that Bove's reputation has become that of a smash-mouth partisan who wields the law as a weapon. In the lead-up to the vote, Senators Adam Schiff and Cory Booker sent a letter to the acting inspector general of the Justice Department, inquiring whether there were any ongoing investigations into Bove. They emphasized the importance of senators being fully informed about Bove's actions as they approach the final vote on his nomination. We therefore request that you clarify for senators whether your office is undertaking any investigations of or related to Mr. Bove. In the event these whistleblower complaints and other reports have not already prompted investigations by your office, we urge you to undertake a thorough review of these disclosures and allegations, they wrote. Earlier on the same day, Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina mentioned that he had been approached by whistleblowers with complaints regarding Bove's nomination. He expressed his intention to consult with Chair Grassley and indicated he would follow his lead. Tillis, who is set to retire from Congress, has been seen as a potential swing vote for Democrats on certain Trump nominees. He voiced frustration over the late emergence of the third whistleblower's claims, likening it to the late allegations against Justice Brett Kavanaugh during his Supreme Court confirmation process. Nevertheless, he ultimately voted in favor of Bove's confirmation.